Greetings, friends and fellow travelers on this strange journey we know as the experience of the pandemic of COVID-19. I'm grateful for a moment to be able to greet you and to speak a word of encouragement as we take this journey together as Christ's Church. It's odd to be using the language of journey because, well, we're not going anywhere. We're stuck at home, most of us, and even if we can go out, it's not very far. It doesn't feel like we're journeying anywhere. And yet, a journey is exactly what we're on, together. And we've been here before. God's people have journeyed in wildernesses since the dawn of time. You know the stories. The Hebrew slaves escaped from Egypt, wandering in the wilderness. The exiles wandering to Babylon and Assyria in defeat, and back through the wilderness home again after. Jesus himself spending time in the wilderness after his baptism, being tested and tempted by none other than Satan. We too are on a wilderness journey, and we are learning again what God's people of all time have learned, that the wilderness is where God's people wait, while God is up to more than they can possibly imagine. For the 40 years that the escaped slaves wandered in the wilderness, God was preparing for them a promised land, their own land, for them to inherit and inhabit. Jesus, 40 days without food, tempted and tested before entering into a ministry, a life, a death, a resurrection that forever changed the world and all time. And you and I are wandering in this wilderness of quarantine and isolation, of virus and of fear, not knowing when or how it ends, only knowing that it will, and confident that wherever God brings us to on the other end, though it will be different from what it was when we entered, it will be more and better than we can possibly imagine. Now, that is not to deny or to pretend that the wilderness is not a painful and difficult and challenging place to be. It is. And we are suffering, and we will. We will be in this wilderness for a long time. Even after we're allowed to come out of our homes and come back together again in large groups, we will still be hearing news of new outbreaks and infections, of sickness, and yes, even of death. There's no whitewashing the reality of the wilderness. It hurts to go through it. But we are going through it, and we are going through it together as Christ's Church. We are going through it together with the God who said, "I will never leave you or forsake you." And so, I'm speaking to you, asking you to remember that, and to invite you not only to keep going as we make our way through this wilderness, but to continue to grow as the disciples that Christ has gifted and called us to be. Now is a time to grow deeper in our faith and to broaden and deepen our generosity of prayer and of patience, our generosity of wallet and watch. I'm inviting you to a deeper experience of prayer, to more time for prayer, to breathing deeply in prayer and trusting its outcome. I'm inviting you to greater generosity of patience as you put up under your own roof with those people whom you know too well and who too easily get on your nerves. I'm asking you to be generous with your wallet. Some of us are more able to share of our resources than others, and we need to step up for the sake of our neighbors who've lost jobs, and especially for those who've lost their health or even their loved ones. And I'm asking you to share the generosity of your watch, to share your time, to do what you can, where you can, when you can, to ease the suffering of others, to check in on one another, especially those most suffering from isolation at this time of being apart. And in addition to inviting you to all of that, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your prayers, for your persistence in faith, for holding together as Christ's Church, for being concerned for one another. We are about to enter Holy Week, a Holy Week unlike any other we've ever experienced. You and your pastors and deacons and PMAs are coming up with creative ways to be together in worship even when you can't be together under one roof. As we continue to experiment with and grow into what those mean, know that the Spirit is moving among you, and yes, we'll make mistakes in what we do. Yes, some of it will feel odd, but all of it is part of our journeying through this wilderness. Trust your pastoral leadership. Trust their training, their compassion, their desire to serve you best. Care for them and let them care for you. Know that we, all of us, are here as church, surrounding you, behind you, sharing your gifts with those in need, gathering gifts from others to share with your congregation and others in need. We are in a wilderness, and we are on a journey. But the end of the journey belongs to Christ, and we belong to God. And so remember that as God has commanded us, we are to be strong and courageous, not be afraid or dismayed, to know that the Lord our God is with us wherever we go. In patience, in trust, in confidence, I invite you to take one more step in this journey through the wilderness, and I praise God for the privilege of sharing this journey with you.